Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2. 1. Mark.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mark, a.k.a. Derringer. Today is Sunday, November 19th, and you are listening to episode 132 of the Instant Action Podcast, your weekly source for Planetside 2's news and information. I'm also being brought to you by great listeners like you via the Support the Show tab on instantactionpodcast.com. So obviously, this past week, we had a very busy week for Planetside 2. Obviously, also, my last podcast was kind of a negative type show, so hopefully you weren't a brand new listener listening to episode 131 and things like that. So we're going to have a bit of a nicer show this week on episode 132. This will be a more pro Planetside 2 type show because we have a lot of things coming with the game. Either came last week or are coming this week. We have the fifth year anniversary to talk about, and a lot of actual good things to talk about regarding Planetside 2 this week. That being said, once again, another week of playing very little Planetside 2. I know I also talked about potentially picking up Star Wars Battlefront 2 with the absolute shitstorm that EA is under regarding that game. I said, screw this. I'm not purchasing that. I'll talk with my wallet in my regards to not liking EA. Also, I don't know. It seemed like a knee-jerk reaction last week when I was thinking about buying it. And after sitting around and thinking about it, I have enough to do between Planetside 2 and Destiny 2 that I don't need to try and push a third game into the mix to kind of vie for my very limited playtime as it is. For those that don't know, my playtime is basically a few nights a week, a couple hours. And I mean, my schedule right now is Monday nights I play soccer, so those are out. Tuesday nights I play basketball, but I do get home around 8 p.m., so I play from 8 to 10 even after playing basketball most weeks. Wednesday I'm free, so I play 8 to 10 most nights that day. Thursday I also have soccer. That's the competitive indoor league I play in. And those games range anywhere from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m., so usually I play very little, if at all, Planetside 2 on Thursday. And actually going back to Tuesday is when all the Destiny 2 stuff drops. The resets or everything happen on Tuesday, so I've been focusing Tuesdays lately on doing all the weekly stuff in Destiny 2, so very little Planetside 2 that night. And again, it's still only about 2 hours that I get to play. And then Friday night, obviously I don't have to get up on Saturday usually, so I do play whatever I want, usually a little later normally, and Friday nights are good because that's the Emerald Fight Night, and I usually participate in Emerald Fight Nights on Friday. So really Friday is probably the one day right now that I'm dedicated 100% to Planetside 2. And then Saturday, Sunday, they're usually crapshoots. Who knows what's going on either day. If I have time to play, I have time to play. If I don't, I don't. Also, Saturday, I do a lot of show prep. And then Sunday, I finalize my show prep and record the show. Some days I'm able to do it early. Some days I do it late. And that all certainly cuts into the amount of playtime that I have. So, again, I'm playing games on a very limited time schedule. And as a result, I don't have a heck of a lot of time to focus on more than one or two games. And as you can see, Destiny 2 is kind of taken over all that free time I've had with Planetside 2. You know, I've been going hard Planetside 2 for a long time now, and now Destiny's kind of creeping in on that. But so again, just to kind of give you guys what an idea of my week is. So if you're doing the math there, it's 2 hours a night, and it's not every night. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, that's only 6 hours a week that I can kind of knuckle down and focus and play whatever the heck I want without really thinking about it. And Friday obviously can go a little later because Saturday morning, I don't usually need to get up and do anything. And I do play outdoors soccer, but that season has ended and won't start up again until the spring. So certainly my Sundays are a little bit more open. Of course, while during football season, anytime the New England Patriots are on, I have to drop everything and watch that game. So today, as an example, I'm recording a little bit earlier in the afternoon so I don't kind of dig into that game while it's happening. And also I do actually have my Thursday soccer game is actually Sunday night this week. So I've got to get this show in the can and out the door much earlier than I normally would have. So I know I've spent a few minutes telling you guys all about my life, and I'm sure a lot of you are like, who the hell cares, Derringer? Let's get in and talk about all the great stuff that was revealed regarding Planetside 2 this week. So with that, what's in store for this week's show? First, obviously, we have the 5th anniversary to talk about, followed by a new PTS update, and then a Reddit AMA to talk about. And finally, if I have time, I want to talk about the new Empire-specific SMGs. There are a couple of videos, a couple of discussion topics about it out there, and we can dig into that unless the show is going particularly long due to all the stuff that we have to talk about. So why don't you guys strap in as usual as we hot drop into another episode of the Instant Action Podcast. So first topic this week, you're obviously listening to this on Monday morning, unless, of course, you're a Patreon patron because you guys get that show earlier. You'd be listening to this on Sunday, maybe. But again, most of you are probably listening to this show on Monday, and as a result, it is Planetside 2's 5th anniversary today, November 20th. So happy 5 years of Planetside 2. And they say anniversary. I prefer to call it its birthday, because it does feel more like a birthday than any anniversary. So again, today, November 20th, if you're listening to this on the 20th, is its 5th anniversary. Some stats to know about. They said that their players have played more than 211 million hours combined. That's over 24,000 years worth of combat on Araxis itself. Rel also tweeted some other stats. He said since 2012, we've killed more than 3 billion players, or about 41% of the Earth's total population. He also tweeted that the NC6 Gauss Saw has the highest number of kills for any single weapon throughout the game's history, and that's 84 million kills, and that doesn't even include team kills. So again, some little fun facts about the game itself, and obviously as we go longer into the lifespan of it, we're going to get even bigger and bigger numbers. So pretty cool stuff, actually. Now, to commemorate this anniversary, anyone can redeem the code 5 years PS2 in the depot, and that's the number 5, the word years, capital P, capital S, the number 2, so 5 years PS2. If you redeem that code in the depot, you're going to receive a 5th anniversary decal. It's kind of a simple decal of just the symbol and 5 stars. It's nothing kind of extraordinary, but hey, a free decal is a free decal. Also, I'm sure everyone already knows this already, but Double Experience is running from November 17th to November 24th. If you're a member, and 17th to the 24th, I mean, we're talking that's an entire week's worth of experience. And if you're a member, then you're going to get quadruple experience on Friday, November 24th, because that's also the beginning of the members double experience weekend. So again, if you're a member, the 24th is the day that you're going to want to play. I bet a lot of people in the United States have it off anyways, because it's the day after Thanksgiving. So hopefully I'm going to get some reports that there's a whole bunch of you still overstuffed from eating turkey and stuffing and mashed potatoes and stuff, and are going to be just running Planetside 2 all day on the 24th to maximize as much experience as possible. I mean, with quadruple experience, it's time to just throw bounties on every person that possibly kills you and just rake in the amount of free experience and certs and things like that. With quadruple experience, you're going to be earning more certs than you're going to be spending on the bounty at this particular point when it gets claimed. So that is probably the best reason to be a member on double experience weekends and especially on a quadruple experience night like this. Now, the one thing everybody wants to know about is what is going to be available in the anniversary bundle, because as we know, every year they do an anniversary bundle. I have personally bought every single anniversary bundle that they have come out with. Whether or not I have membership in the game, I do think that it is important to continue to support the game, and purchasing an anniversary bundle is a great way to do that. Now, granted, you're getting a lot of stuff for purchasing the bundle, so that just kind of sweetens the deal in it for me. And something that they're doing new this year that they haven't done in past years is they're giving you 3 different tiers of bundles, each costing different amounts of Daybreak cash. And personally, I think this is a great idea, because you've got people that want some stuff, maybe don't want other stuff, and maybe can't spend the amount of money on some of the higher tiers, but can on a lower tier. So let's actually talk about those 3 tiers. The first tier is the Initiates Anniversary Bundle, and it costs 2,999 Daybreak cash. That's $30 basically. And this bundle contains a 5th anniversary horn that's available on all vehicles, the 5-year anniversary decals for all your factions, your armor, and your vehicles. You're also going to get the AE version of the AF4A Bandit, which is the NC carbine. I'm disappointed that it's the Bandit, not the GD7F, but whatever. You're also getting the LC2 Lynx, which is the Terran Republic carbine, and you're also getting the Zenith VX5AE, which is the Vanu Sovereignty carbine. You're also getting access to 3 new camos, the Guerrillas Gold Hex, the Tacticians Gold Hex, and the Worshippers Gold Hex camo. You're also getting some other, what do we got here? You're actually getting nothing else because I've copied and pasted the information twice. So again, those things are what we're seeing in the Initiates 5-year anniversary bundle. Now, if you have a little bit deeper pockets than $30, you can bump up to the Soldiers 5-year anniversary bundle, and this is 3,999 Daybreak cash. This is $40. This is about what we see every year regarding the anniversary bundles. So again, you're getting that anniversary horn for all your vehicles, the decals, you're getting the Bandit, the Lynx, the VX5, and you're also getting the Gold Hex camo for each faction. You're also getting a Superiority, a Liberty, and an Enlightenment decal for all factions for your armor and vehicles. You're also getting the AF-18 Stalker, that's the Auto Scout for NC. You're getting the SOAS-20 and the Artemis VX-26. Again, this is all stuff that we've talked about in the last show. Those were the 3 we expected everyone to receive. You're also getting the new NS Stalwart helmet, and that's unlocked across all your factions. And you're also going to get the Lightning's Obsidian trim. This is actually a cool kind of looking trim. I may be driving my Lightning a bit more if I get this. And again, that's for all factions as well. And the biggest thing, and the one thing everybody looks for every year, is the 6-month heroic boost. Now, the thing to remember with the 6-month heroic boost is that it unlocks on the character that purchases the bundle only. So it is very important that whichever character you're going to purchase this anniversary bundle on, make sure you're purchasing it with the one who could use that 6-month heroic boost the most. Now, for example, I would not purchase this on my NC character, even though that's the one I usually purchase it on, because being BR120, I don't need a heroic boost at this particular junction within the game itself. If I decide to spring for the Soldiers Anniversary Bundle, I will probably purchase it on my VS character at this time. Now, again, that one's $40. But like I said, there are 3 bundles this year, and the third one is being called the Commander's 5-year anniversary bundle, and this one is available for 8,999 Daybreak cash. Yes, you heard that correctly. It is a $90 bundle, and God, it feels so too rich for my blood, but we'll see. You're still getting the horn, the decals, the Bandit Links Xenix, the Gold Hex camos, the Superiority, Liberty, and Enlightenment decals, the Stalker, the SOAS-20, the Artemis. You're still getting the Stalwart helmet. You're getting the Lightning Obsidian trim. You're also getting the Vanguard Obsidian trim and the Prowler Obsidian trim as well. I don't see it here, but I assume you're going to get the VS Obsidian trim on this particular one as well. It would seem silly to only get Vanguard and Prowler. On top of that, you're going to get access to a counterintelligence implant, a minor cloak implant, an infravision implant. Again, these are all the exceptional implants that are available in the game, or 3 of the original exceptional ones that are available in the game. And you're also going to get 9 basic implant packs for the character that purchases the bundle only. And again, that is the same for those exceptional implants as well. They're only going to unlock on the character that purchased the bundle. You're also going to get a special camo. This is the Stoic Gold Hex camo, and that's going to be available on all of your faction. You're also going to get a new title. It's going to be called the Warbringer title. And I think the biggest thing is that you're going to receive a 12-month heroic boost. Again, it's only going to unlock on the character that purchases the bundle, but obviously twice as long as a 6-month heroic boost. So you unlock this and you're in heroic boost land for the entire year until the next anniversary bundle launches. Again, $90 is a little expensive in my opinion. And when we look at it, what we're getting for the 90, and obviously it's double plus 10 what the soldiers one is. So they're saying that getting the 3 exceptional implants, the implant pack, the special camo, the special title, and the obsidian trim on the main battle tanks is worth an extra $10 on top of doubling the heroic boost itself. I can kind of see that. I'd have to sit down and do the math on how much 9 implant packs costs and figure it out that way. But again, $90, that's kind of a lot of money, and I'm going to have to think long and hard about doing that, which means I will most likely do just the Soldiers one so that I can continue to support the developers over at Planetside 2. So again, that's the bundle. I'm super excited about it. I love the fact that there's 3 options this particular year, and I can't wait for Monday at this point to unlock them. All right, moving along, second topic this week, and God, I'm already 18 minutes in, jeez. We're talking about the November 17th PTS update. And they obviously announced a lot of the bundle stuff in these same patch notes. But like I said, we did get some new stuff on the PTS as well. Again, PC only PTS. Sorry, PS4 guys, you don't have access to this. But you guys will get access to the bundles as well. Starting off with the UI and quality of life improvements, this is where the new UI developer kind of cuts his teeth on Planetside 2, if you will. So first off, on the PTS, generator timers no longer overlay the icon on the HUD. They added some new sound effects to the nanocycler. The nanocycler now lets you filter implants by owned and unowned. Alert timers are now only appearing on the HUD and tab menu when you're on a continent with an active alert. You can now select the world map view from the map dropdown. ISO 4 is now tracked on the minimap. It's also on the tab screen and loadout screens. Quick deploy will now be disabled if there's more than 60% allied population in the region. Capture points that can't be captured are shown on the HUD and minimap with padlocks over them showing that they're locked. Clicking a boost slot from the loadout window will actually take you to the boost window to either apply or purchase more. Region populations now displayed on the expanded minimap. Again, it's not if it's small. If you hit the H button on PC, it's going to expand it out, and you'll see region population. You can actually now click on usernames in the most recent line of the chat field, and the chat window itself will no longer disappear when the text field has a focus on it. Also, finally, when capturing or defending a base, the faction who actually owns the base will always appear on the left side, and the faction attacking the base will always appear on the right side. Again, these are just some of the beginning things that the UI programmer is actually working on, and I'll actually give that programmer a name when we get to the next section of the show. Moving along, there were some changes to Sunderers, specifically that they can no longer deploy in the no deploy region of allied bases. This is kind of a big change. And also, moving off from Sunderers, the 1,000 meter squad beacons respawn limitation has been removed from the game, which means you don't need to be within 1,000 meters anymore to spawn on your squad spawn beacon, which is actually kind of a big deal. I know I read a post this week from Vindicor where he's vehemently against this change. I'd say go out to his site if you have a chance and read what he's written on that. He makes a pretty good argument for bringing that back into the game itself, but hey, we'll play with it on the other side and see how it feels with the critical mass stuff. Next, we got some new weapons in the game, and this is finally where we get to see and play around with Doku's newest submachine guns. And these are, again, Empire specifics. They all have unique visual styles. Their audio is kind of a work in progress still. They're not going to be available with the anniversary patch because they're still trying to collect some feedback and continue to polish the ultimate look and feel of the weapons themselves. But that being said, the NC are getting one that's called the MGRS1 Gladius, and it's got a low rate of fire. It's a close quarters weapon. It does have a 200 damage model and a high default damage per magazine. It's got some pretty interesting special attachment that reduces the number of bullets in the chamber, but gives you a higher velocity. Kind of a very interesting weapon. Next, the TR got the MGS1 Jackal, and this has a 30-round magazine, has a very fast reload. It's a hard-hitting weapon with the 167 damage model. It also has a special type of ammo built into it, which takes 9 rounds of the magazine and fires them off after a short delay. Really hard hitting. I watched a video on this where the spread of this weapon itself, even when you're not using the special ammo, is really tight. It's going to be a headshot machine for the TR. But speaking of VS, they are getting one called the VES Canis. It looks awesome. The reload animations on this are pretty darn awesome. It does have a slow rate of fire to start, but it does ramp up over time. Has a really large magazine, and again, that 167 damage model, just like the Jackal. It also has some experimental ammo that makes the rounds coming out of the weapon bigger. So in a video, you can see that you can basically not be aiming at the enemy's head and still hit the head when using this experimental ammo. I don't think I'm going to have time to talk about these further on this week's show, so I'm going to save it for, I said at the beginning of the show I might not have time, and we're going to go long today, I can already tell. So I'm going to skip that topic on these and just kind of give you the taste that I've done now. And on next week's show, after we've got some more reactions, some more videos, some more people talking about these, we'll do a deeper dive into the Gladius, the Jackal, and the Canis. But moving along, we have some vehicle adjustments now to talk about. The Dalton got some changes, basically a damage increase, and the damage increase is so that the Dalton can keep an ESF as a one hit to burning. And it should also reduce the shots to kill against most other targets. Main battle tanks goes down to 4 hits. Sunder and Liberator go down to 5. Galaxy goes down to 7. Lightning goes down to 3. Ant goes down to 4, and the harassers go down to 2 hits. So a pretty big damage adjustment to the Dalton in the Liberator itself. I'm sure pilots still aren't going to be happy with this, but at least it's a beginning. Next, the Zephyr also on the Liberator had a big damage increase, a cone of fire decrease, a velocity increase, and a recoil recovery rate increase. And it's really just a slight handling increase to make it more competitive in an anti-vehicle setting. It should, with the damage adjustment itself, also with the air-to-ground resistance buff that was released recently, this is going to be keeping ESFs at the same 4 shots to kill as it did prior. Hits to kill versus main battle tanks are going to go down to 10, Galaxies down to 19, Valkyries to 4, Libs and Sunderers to 14, Ants to 11, and Harassers to 5. Next, the Duster got a cone of fire decrease. A max and minimum both got decreased, and the Bloom also got cut a ton. This cone of fire adjustment is going to allow it to make use of its rapid fire and magazine size with what they consider more freedom. They felt previously the most effective way to use the Duster was to use it like a Zephyr in single or paired shots, and they're hoping that these changes help move it towards its intended function and not to be used like the Zephyr itself. Next, the Tank Buster also got changes. Its max damage per pellet was increased to 250, and the dev notes on this is it's going to bring the shots to kill versus ESFs, which used to be 35, down to 18. Against heavily armored targets, they're hoping that the number of reloads to kill should drop to about 2 from 3. Next, we got some ESF changes. Again, if you're not familiar at this point, ESFs are your Mosquitoes, your Reavers, and your Scythes. They got some air-to-ground warhead resistance changes, like I mentioned a second ago. And the goal of these resistance changes is to decrease the damage of each shot from an air-to-ground warhead, like the Zephyr, Dalton, Hornet missiles. But the Zephyr and Dalton also had their damage buffed, like I just said, to counterbalance this. Hornets themselves are going to go from 3 hits to kill to 4 hits to kill with this resistance change for ESFs. They also got a AP chain gun resistance decrease, and what this decrease is going to do is it's going to reduce the staying power that ESFs have against the Shredder, but it also affects the Tank Buster, the Valkyrie's Hellion, and other Vulcan-like weapons in the game itself. Moving on, the Gatekeeper got a Cone of Fire max reduction. Really, the goal there was just to tighten it up to push out its effective range a bit. The Mjolnir got a direct damage increase, and the goal there was to move it to the front of the pack in terms of damage output among close-range AV weapons, and it should help close the gap on the Vulcan in Harasser versus Harasser combat. Moving on to the Spear Phalanx turret, it got an increase to its direct damage and also an increase to its inner blast damage. The AV Mana turret also got some resistance changes regarding air-to-ground warheads and infantry rocket launchers. They feel that it was a little bit left behind during the original Combined Arms Initiative update. It should bump up its resistance to damage and should be better for engineers using the turret itself. In addition to that, there were a couple other miscellaneous changes. The biggest one is that vehicles should no longer flip when using remote vehicle spawning, and they want you to specifically report that if you're still experiencing that issue. Again, remember that as of this recording, this is still on the PTS and has not made its way to live. I know this is one of my biggest complaints with Planetside 2 right now, the fact that my goddamn vehicle flips when I try to get it out. Every time I pull a Valkyrie, every time I... Valkyrie specifically, that's the one that drives me up the goddamn wall. So if they have fixed this, I will be forever happy with that particular thing. So again, there were other little additional miscellaneous changes and fixes, but again, that's the biggest one that I wanted to talk about. And before we go any longer, let's move on to our third and final topic on this week's show. that third and final topic this week is the much talked about, much hyped Reddit developer, PS2 developer AMA on Reddit this past week. And this happened on the 15th. This was last Wednesday. Perfect time for me. Like I said, it was between 5 and 7 p.m. Eastern time. So I did ask a question on the Reddit, and I took a while trying to think and let a lot of people ask the tougher questions. But in particular, well, I don't want to get into my question just yet. What I want to say what my overall thoughts on the AMA were. Overall, I was disappointed by the AMA. And anytime you do an AMA, which stands for Ask Me Anything, I expect some decent answers, some long answers, some thought out answers, but some answers, to the questions that are being asked. If you're going to put yourself out there to answer questions, then you need to answer them and not give a crappy one-line answer to a lot of them. And I feel that some of the questions that were asked got these one-liner answers and didn't really satisfy the question asker. And I'll use myself as an example. So I basically said that I no longer subscribed, even though I've been a loyal subscriber just about for the life of the game. Now that I'm BR120, the main draw membership no longer appeals to me, specifically the increase in XP gain, the membership double weekends. And I've always spent my 500 DBC on 3-day XP boosts to use in the double XP weekend. So since this is the main draw for me, are there any plans to change the current membership rewards in Planetside 2? I said I obviously support the game in many ways. I wouldn't be a podcaster if it wasn't for Planetside 2. So I feel a little dirty not supporting the game monetarily. So please give me a reason to re-up my membership again. And Paul Giaggio, who is now on Reddit, responded to my comment, which was good because at least I did get a response. And he wrote, "We are definitely looking at ways to improve the end game progression and give vets things to get excited about." That's it. No, I wanted more. I feel like it wasn't enough information. Give me, I'm sorry, Derringer, that you stopped being a membership. That's not our goal. Our goal is to have everyone be a member of this game. As a result, we're thinking about doing this. We're thinking about doing that. We're give me something. They gave me nothing. It's, yay. I'm glad you're looking at it. It wasn't what I was hoping to get from my question on the AMA. And I'm not going to lie, I sat for about an hour as the AMA went on trying to think of the perfect question to ask and to craft it perfectly. And I thought I did pretty good. I guess just getting a response means that I asked an okay enough question. I was just very disappointed with the response. Give me some meat is what I'm trying to say. I just wanted more out of it. And unfortunately, I feel like that seemed to be the case with a lot of the responses to the questions themselves. But besides that, let's talk about some of the stuff that we did learn in the AMA itself. Now, first, we learned that Roxley is the community manager for Daybreak Games on Planetside 2 specifically. We know in the past she was kind of working on both that, H1Z1, some other things. So, I don't know if she's solely doing Planetside 2. I don't think that that's the case, but at least we do know that she is the community manager for Planetside 2. We also learned that the new UI guy's Reddit name is DB_Zant. That's about all we know about it. We also know that a new associate programmer was added to the team. His Twitter handle is Brushwild. Again, that's really all that we know about that. And the team itself is kind of expanding, but also in flux with other internal resources. It's nice. Also, I mentioned it early in the show, Paul Giaggio, he's the one to respond to my question. He also is now on Reddit as well. His handle is DBPaul. So in case you ever needed to tag some of these new people, is the information for them. Roxley is ROXXLYY. Everybody else is exactly what you think it is. Some other things that we learned is that we're going to get a 5th anniversary stream on Monday. So again, if you're listening to this on Monday, November 20th at 2 p.m. Pacific. That is 5 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to be doing a dev live stream. If I had to guess, they're going to talk about changes that are coming on the PTS. They're going to be hyping the 5th anniversary. Maybe they're going to talk about any changes coming to the Christmas event. Maybe they'll talk about the 24 days of Christmas. I don't know how many days did they do it last time. Didn't they have a sale every day in December? I mean, there's going to be some sort of Black Friday sale. So it makes me think that we could possibly see the December sales coming back again. I mean, those are always popular. I know people always spend money on stuff. When those come back, maybe they'll talk about that on the stream itself. Hopefully they show us some new stuff on the stream. I'd like to see what the next thing that they're going to be working on within the game itself. Then after we learned some of those new things, we got into kind of the tougher questions, and that's Combined Arms Initiative questions, Meltdown questions, state of the game types of questions. And here is where I really think, again, that we didn't get the full answer that everyone wanted to get. Now, sure, we got some good responses to some question, like a user, I think his name is Aloysius, but I don't want to say that for sure. He's on Cobalt. He put forth 11 specific questions about the game itself, and those got distilled down a little further, and Rel kind of went through every single ones, gave some responses to what they feel the thought process behind the slower vehicle pace play, why they did that, the hash and heat changes, why the Archer got nerfed, and all different things like that. So certainly some questions got more good responses than others did, and we did learn some things like the Combined Arms Initiative is part of a larger ambition. All these changes that they keep pushing to live are really for better evaluation of how they work as well, so we could see other changes coming as a result of this. And obviously we've seen, I just talked about a little earlier, a whole bunch of changes coming to the PTS based on Combined Arms Initiative play on the live game. They also feel that the critical mass was a good step forward, and they do hope to kind of push more things like critical mass to the game itself. And overall, the whole team feels that the game is doing exceptionally well for being a 5-year-old game. And, Rel specifically said that Planetside 2 is a financially viable game. So it doesn't feel, or they clearly don't think that they're not making money on the game itself. Now, they also think that the team is happy with the current vehicle's time to kill, but they do intend to monitor that further as the games progress. And they also noted that hash and heat are being used a lot more since this update, so they will be continuing to keep an eye on those because, again, don't forget, hash, heat, and IAP are all supposed to have their own little niche, but a lot of players feel that the hash is being used more than anything else currently. They also talked a little bit about that upcoming patch that I just talked about. So ESFs, Daltons, and the lib changes that are coming. I'm not going to rehash those things as well. They also talked about some of the upcoming things that I just talked about, like, the SMGs, the no deploy zones for Sundays, beacon restrictions, UI improvements. But they also did say that they do expect a PS4 update to hit us before the end of the year. So, that means we should expect meltdown alerts. We should expect Combined Arms Initiative and implants all on the Planetside 4 before 2018. So, that's, soon. We're less than a month and a half away. So meltdown and implants definitely by the end of the year for the PS4. So that is at least something that PS4 folks can really get excited about, or maybe not, since I did see a pretty long post this past week where PlayStation 4 folks were saying, here's the reason you want to come play on the PS4. We don't have Combined Arms Initiative. We don't have construction. We don't have implants. And I thought that was a hilarious post. So note that you guys will be getting it before the end of the year, and also spawn posts about how some people want legacy servers for Planetside 2 with all these pre-updates. And I thought that was hilarious because of the World of Warcraft news that they're going to be launching legacy servers on that. So good on the folks who said that. Some other future changes that we can potentially see. We know that leadership and outfits are going to be the focus, at least for the beginning of 2018. Both Paul and Rel indicated their thoughts that that's going to be an expansion or revamp based on frequent information that they get, but that we all kind of need to take a back seat on that and remember that they've got to put forth the best solution that they think rather than just kind of dive into it. Again, I hope that they take a lot of the stuff that Vindicor wrote and use those things. So again, outfits and leadership. Also, I know Rel said as well that the new player experience is something they also want to work at in the beginning of 2018. So kind of interesting stuff regarding that. They also hinted that potentially we could get a Tropical Paradise camo that looks like Nick Silva's shirt that he always wears to the live streams. So it's going to be a thing in 2018. So get ready for that. Also, there was talk about possibly adding some more alert types to the game, or maybe events that trigger mid-continent. Those are some things that they might like to see in the future, but again, as always, no timeline regarding that. There's also talk of releasing the Nexus to the live servers for people to play on, and also potentially repurposing Cold Tier. I mean, Cold Tier's at a point now where there's no one ever on it, so maybe using the Nexus and using Cold Tier as kind of new continents or new places to play on would kind of be interesting and not something that the devs are against. There's also talk about some changes coming to the PS4 regarding bounties and UI changes, stuff like that. There's also talk about potentially adding new lore to the game itself. Lore is cool and all stuff like that, but I don't know that lore is really the biggest thing that the devs need to be focusing on with the game itself, especially when the community is doing such a good job on lore and things like that. So also, let's move on a little, talk about continent stuff. There are no plans to release a new continent, even though it's kind of been teased a whole bunch. But Rel did state specifically that Esamir will be the next continent in line to get kind of a revamp. I know he mentioned quote-unquote wrecking ball on Esamir, so that could mean heavy changes to Esamir itself. But Nick wanted to make sure that everybody knows that when they do a revamp like that, it is very work intensive, and there are definitely technical obstacles regarding revamping a continent itself. But again, as for a new continent like Cirrus, which I said on last week's show, even if those assets are in file, there's no plans. So just we kind of got to deal with it at this particular point. Now, moving on to construction, the team itself is not happy with the current state of construction and hives in particular. So they're not really happy with it, is what really comes down to. Hives obviously were intended to bring players to construction bases, and they don't think that it's worked as well as they'd envisioned. They think that they're more a thorn in the game's side more than anything else. So they are looking to potentially realign their role in the future. Again, that future could be very far out at this particular point. And there's also talk about adding some possible vehicle capture points to better encourage the flow between base fights and constructions and things like that. So who knows, we could see something like that in the future as well. Moving along to competitive type stuff, because I know there were a lot of questions about competitive play. Now, the biggest takeaway from the competitive play, obviously, is that they want to support more competitive play, but they need everybody to realize that it is a small development team. So they help where they can, but I don't know that we're really going to see a lot of stuff like that. They did say, though, and this was kind of important to me, is that they're potentially looking at maybe some giveaways, promo codes, and things like that for streamers. Hopefully that means they're not going to forget their lowly podcast brethren as well. Anytime I have asked for Daybreak cash codes in the past from Radar X, I would get them. Granted, I wouldn't get a ton of them, but he certainly would come through if I ever requested something like that. Like the last time I asked for codes was at my 2-year anniversary of doing the show, and he graciously gave me a bunch, and I gave them all out to listeners. So hopefully they will continue to do that for me. I'd love for them to get in touch with me and maybe see about getting my show decal, I guess, as a decal in the game itself. I'm not sure what I would need to do to rework that. Obviously, I am not a graphic artist, so don't even know if that's possible or not. But I would love to get my a decal of the show in-game to give out to listeners as I see fit, or maybe some other promo codes and things like that. There were a bunch of, what's never going to make it to the light of game, or at least not anytime soon. Things like there's no plan for a battle rank increase. That was one that I kind of hoped we'd see, maybe BR 130. We're not going to see any other types of melee weapons like lightning claws or thunder hammers, things like that. There were a bunch of other things, nothing super important to kind of really talk about, except that somebody asked if they were ever going to reopen Planetside 1, and that's not happening, as we know. Planetside 1 is dead and gone. I do still have the link to the game on my desktop, and I will never delete that if possible. We've been kind of going on about this one for a while now. The show's running certainly long. There was a lot of good stuff in this AMA, but again, I felt like a lot of the questions that were asked got kind of small answers. Or I would have preferred some more in-depth answers that we didn't actually get to see from this. So hopefully they will answer some more of this stuff on the dev live stream. Maybe they're holding some of that stuff back. Like I know a lot of players felt that the hard, quote-unquote, Combined Arms Initiative questions didn't get answered good enough by the team. So maybe on the dev live stream, they're going to talk about that a bit more. That's kind of one of the things that I hope. But all in all, anytime the developers are going to get kind of crapped on the previous week by myself, Serious Gaming as well, a bunch of other people were kind of hitting them hard last week about not doing enough for the game itself, to come out with an AMA, to come out with a dev live stream, to say that they're considering doing more dev live streams, like one every month or 2 months. It means that they're actually listening and not in let's do nothing mode or let's announce nothing mode like some people possibly suggested. So I think I'm going to wrap the AMA up in here. I'm going to include a link to the full AMA. If you're curious, dig through it. You might find something that I certainly missed. And with that, let's move into housekeeping this week.
Housekeeping. Housekeeping.
Come back later, please.
Housekeeping.
Not now.
Housekeeping.
Go away.
I coming anyway?
Now, unfortunately, no emails, no voicemails. Somebody did call me. Somebody calls me every Monday, and they don't leave a message. It just hits my voicemail. So I don't know if it's just a bot on Reddit or something, but whoever you are, just leave me a message next time if you're going to call me. I don't know. Maybe they think that I'm going to actually answer the phone and talk to them, but it just goes into a voicemail. It doesn't ring anywhere. I'm sorry. But on that note, that's going to be it for this week's show. As always, how can you get in touch with me or the show? First off, visit my website, www.instantactionpodcast.com. Send me an email, instantactionshow@gmail.com. Call me, leave me a voicemail, 347-4VM-4PS2 or 347-486-4772. Follow me on Twitter. The show's is @InstActPodcast. My personal Twitter is also @TheDerringer. And as always, in closing, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave me a review on your podcast listening avenue of choice, whether it's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or anywhere else. Also, feel free to tell your friends and outfit mates about the show. And finally, thanks for listening, and keep spamming that Join Combat, formerly known as Instant Action button.